Okay, welcome. This is game 2 that I'm casting of the TA Escalation 2021 Pro Tournament. And this is between two players. The player I'm looking at right now, who has the purple arm, whose name is Wynaut, and the blue arm player, whose name is Coolnick. And once again, we are on Ultimate Lush Divide. I actually know the name of the map this time. So congratulations for me. This map is really, like I said before, interesting because it has these divides, these passes. Like I said before, it kind of reminds me of Great Divide, which is kind of a famous map from the original game, except it was a horizontal divide, but it was in some ways very similar to this, and it was actually a pretty popular map. Let me speed this up, because right now we're just starting. Anyways, so Great Divide was a pretty popular map, especially in the TA Spring community. It got some acclaim in bigger team games. But so far I've seen a lot of ARM in the games that I've casted, that I've seen in this tournament. Seems to be an ARM meta, perhaps, but maybe as we watch more games that'll change. Just player preference. For Dominator, I guess he plays both races. But for these two players, Wynaut and Coolnick, they've both decided to go for ARM. I think this is the first game of the set, but I don't know for sure. Either way, it's best of 3, so we'll just go through the games and see what happens. Nothing out of the ordinary here. They both built some flashes to kind of harass each other, kind of get into each other's business, as it were. And right now we just kind of have a meeting of the Pee-wee. Did I say Flash? Okay. Well, I meant Pee-wees. Meeting of the Pee-wees in the middle of the map here. And not much else than that. So Wynaut is it looks like he's playing more of the aggressor here. The purple player is playing the aggressor. He's getting into Coolnick's base a little bit, but he hasn't really penetrated into the production. It looks like he doesn't have the shoot all command on. Okay, he just fixed that. There's kind of a strange thing about Total Annihilation that if you don't have the shoot all command on, your units will not automatically attack structures, which can be very annoying. So he turned that on so that his Pee-wees would attack structures, and so at this point, it's a pretty balanced early game. I mean, both players are just kind of feeling each other out, just sending some Pee-wees at one another, but not much has happened. Except, okay, so Wynaut is going air. That's interesting. To go air this early can be a little dangerous. It can be a little bit risky because air is it's somewhat expensive, especially energy. The cost of building air in terms of energy is very, very expensive. And so it might leave you vulnerable to a heavy ground push. For example, it looks like Coolnick is doing just that, this heavy ground assault onto Wynaut's base with a ton of God, why do I keep saying that? Pee-wees, ton of Pee-wees. Pee-wees and flashes are very similar. They're basically just the equivalent of each other in K-bot and vehicle equivalent. But it looks like Coolnick is he's going to try to mosey on into Wynaut's base, but he's wisely built a couple LLTs up here. Let me slow it down. Now we're getting into the meat of the action. But Coolnick is actually, he's he's past this LLT, and now he's into the meat of Wynaut's base, and he's starting to take out some of the economy, starting to do a little bit of damage here. Looks like he took out a few wind generators. He took out at least a few metal extractors as well. And now Wynaut's trying to, or he's going to have to clean up his base. But as I said before, that's in some ways a consequence of going air. It does put you at risk. And I think that was just demonstrated. Going for air like that so early can certainly put you behind on the ground game, give your opponent an advantage. And it looks like Coolnick exploited that a little bit. If you look at the mega map or the major map, as you can see, Coolnick kind of has an endless onslaught of peewees coming up here to Wynaut's base. And it also looks like Wynaut's resources are capped out. They're totally... He's not using his metal. So that's a problem. He definitely needs to be using his metal. He definitely needs to be making sure he's playing as efficiently as possible, making full use of his resources, because if he doesn't, he's just going to get overwhelmed, I think, by this endless stream of peewees coming from Coolnick's base. But luckily, it does look like Wynaut is finally using his resources, so let's see what Coolnick's up to. Coolnick has advanced to T2. That is also a big investment. It can be a risk, but it was a wise investment. It was a wise choice because Coolnick had pushed all the way onto Wynaut's side of the map, and so he knew that Wynaut was on the defensive, and while he had Wynaut on the defensive, he decided, hey, why don't I tech up to T2 and get a huge economic and tech advantage, a combat advantage, because the T2 units, in TA escalation in particular, T2 units are much stronger. Obviously, they're also more expensive, but they're extremely powerful, and so if you can successfully tech up to T2 and not get punished for it, then you'll have a huge advantage over your opponent, both in terms of military power and in terms of economic advantage. And so, given that this battle here around the middle of the map is pretty even, I would say that Coolnick has a massive lead because he's tech to T2, and he has a lot of constructors here. Aren't really doing anything, but what he's trying to do is upgrade all his metal extractors to T2, because it's going to multiply his metal income by an order of magnitude, and which will just kind of put him even further ahead. And so at this point in the game, I mean, Coolnick is very far ahead. He's on T2. His opponent just started T2. Wynaut just started T2. And also, like, if you look at the economies, it says that Coolnick has 86, almost 87 metal per second, and Wynaut has 30. So that's huge. I don't know. I don't even know what happened. It looks like Wynaut maybe just gave up. He was really far behind, but the players weren't really talking about what happened there. But either way, I think Coolnick easily won that game. I think it's clear that Coolnick was the victor in that one. So, yeah, on to the next game. Okay, this is game 2 between Wynaut and Coolnick. Here in the purple trunks on the bottom right, the armed commander is Wynaut. And in the yellow trunks at the top left, the armed commander is Coolnick. And if you watch my last replay between Dominator and Chamberlain, it was a very similar situation on this map. 2 armed players on a very flat moon map, almost guaranteed to go vehicle first and to spam a ton of flashes, and it typically turns into a flash war. And that's what happened, and it's often a battle on these very open, flat maps of which player can micro better, but also which player is better at taking over the map, essentially becoming an octopus. That was back in the day. There was someone had come up with these different names for TA play styles, and so there was the turtle, which was the guy that just kind of sat in the corner and never expanded. He just kind of built a little, or maybe that was the porcupine, right? But the octopus was the player that just expanded out all over the whole map, and their base was the map. They didn't have a base. Their base was the whole map. And on a map like this, I would say the octopus is a very, very good play style, because there is metal just everywhere. Metal spots galore, more than you could ever ask for, but you have to expand out, and that's the difficulty. Is the more you expand, the more vulnerable you become, the more territory you have to defend, and so that's kind of what separates a good player from an average Joe, is their ability to both expand and protect their expansion while applying pressure to the opponent. It is said that the best defense is a good offense, and on a map like this, that is certainly the case. So here we have Coolnick doing a little bit of harassment, doing a little bit of run-bys, you might call them, killing some metal extractors, being a nuisance, being a thorn in Wynaut's side. And yeah, that's annoying. I'm sure it's annoying. He's having to rebuild everything. He's having to rebuild his turrets. Well, he's rebuilding it. He's building a turret, but he should really be building metal extractors, because he does have 11 metal. I guess he's got some metal extractors over here. Yeah, here at the bottom, but right here. But it almost feels like he has no metal at all, so he really needs to get to rebuilding. Meanwhile, at Coolnick's base, I may have missed I actually may have missed a little skirmish up here where they took out the metal extractors, but it doesn't seem like too big of a problem. Overall, I mean, just looking at the map, you can tell that Coolnick's doing a little better. He's got more of the map. His metal income is significantly higher, and it looks like he's trying to do another run by. He's trying to take out some more metal spots here. He's successful. He's going to take out these 2. Yeah, he's just being a nuisance. And on this kind of map, as I was saying before, it's all about how much pressure you can apply to your opponent, while behind that, making this map, making an empire, making your empire onto this moon world that I've said before in the last replay. I feel like this whole map is just a glorified comet catcher or moon quartet. Eat your heart out. Comet catcher is still the best, and all these moon maps are basically the same. They're just a big flat battleground with no solar. With no wind, no wind energy. There's no wind on the moon. So here we have Wynaut moving his forces up. He's been on the defense for most of the game, it feels like, and it looks like he's tired of being on the defense, and now he's ready to push into his opponent's base. But Coolnick isn't unprepared. He's got a line of LLTs here to thwart his opponent's attacks. Maybe I'll slow this down. When it comes to the battles, I like to have have it operating at normal speed because it's fun to watch. So yeah, Wynaut's just walking into this phalanx of turrets, of light laser towers, and it's not going to work out so well for him. Light laser towers are pretty good with dealing with flashes if they're spaced out like that, and if you've got your own mobile force to kind of act as a shield. And so these light laser towers are spread out really well. I have to give Coolnick some credit. These are spread out really well, these light laser towers, just so that the opponent can't just easily take them all out at once. He's got to kind of bring his flashes over a large surface area in order to kill this line of LLTs. So Coolnick is doing exactly what I said you have to do on this map. You have to take a lot of territory, but you also have to defend said territory, and he's doing a good job of both. That's pretty impressive. And meanwhile, Wynaut's he's moving north. He's looks like he's trying to find something to raid, but as I said, Coolnick's got this pretty locked down. I mean, he's got this whole area of the map is just kind of Coolnick territory, and he will not allow intruders. He's the Walter White of Dark Comet. Say my name, get the hell out. You are not allowed here. And seems like he's doing a pretty good job of keeping Wynaut from really getting much accomplished in this side of the map. So let's see what the players are building. Coolnick is on 3 vehicle plants. So his strategy is pretty simple. I'm just going to spam flashes until my opponent is dead. And Wynaut is he's on 2 vehicle plants, so his production power obviously isn't as high, and he also is having energy problems as well. You can kind of see if you look at the top right, he's having major energy problems, and God, he's only got it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, he's only got 240 energy right now, and his opponent has 1,000. So Coolnick has 4 times as much energy as Wynaut, 4 times, and Coolnick has about 3 times as much metal, something like that. It's fluctuating, but yeah. So Coolnick is very ahead. He's very ahead. I wouldn't call the game over, but I would forecast that Coolnick is probably going to end up winning this. He's now teching to T2 vehicles and spamming flashes like a madman. He's got 4 vehicle plants, which is quite impressive. And he's now coming down here to the bottom, and I'm assuming he's just going to do a sweep. He's going to come down here, and then he's just going to sweep all the way into Wynaut's base. So let's speed it up. Yep, as predicted, he's just going to move through here. Just going to sweep right into Wynaut's base. And this is a lot of flashes, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Wynaut can stop this. He may be able to. I guess we'll see. But he's moving through here. Oh, it looks like some of these flashes are getting caught on debris. He does have a sentinel here that I didn't see before, so sentinels are very good against flashes if you can protect them. Sometimes it's better to surround them. If you could surround it with like a row of dragon's teeth, that would be even better. But even still, it's pretty good defense. But it really just this game feels like Wynaut's just really waiting to die. He's not even using his metal anymore. He's very far behind on both economy and tech, because Coolnick is now almost at T2. He's very close. And then once he gets to T2, it's just the real pain begins. I guess that's one way to put it. So, again, Coolnick is slowly tightening the noose here. He's sending flashes down the side. And Wynaut has built some javelins. Javelins are actually, they weren't in the original game. They're not a cave dog unit. This is a TA escalation unique unit, and they're interesting. I think of them as something like between a flash and a stumpy. They aren't quite as tanky. They aren't quite as hard to kill as a stumpy, but they're faster. And they do quite a bit of damage, and they have like a Gauss attack. So it's like a very quick, direct shell. And so, as you can see, they're not as fast as flashes, but they are still fairly fast. And they do a lot of damage. And so, it looks like Coolnick has graduated to stumpies. In general, stumpies do less DPS than flashes when you compare, like if you are taking costs into account. So, pound for pound, flashes do quite a bit higher DPS, but stumpies are very hard to kill. They have a ton of health, and their attack has a little AoE. And so if you get enough of them, if you get kind of a critical mass of stumpies, they become nearly unstoppable at T1. Now, obviously, once T2 tech starts to come into the equation, it's a totally different story because the dynamic changes. But at T1, stumpy spam is very effective. The only problem is it's expensive, and so most of the time you almost require a T2 economy or to take over the entire map, as Coolnick has. So I think this is going to end the game. This many stumpies it's terrifying. It's a critical mass, like I said, of stumpies. And yeah, it looks like Wynaut is in very serious trouble here. He's really got nothing left. He does have this one sentinel, but he doesn't even have the energy to run it effectively. So that's going to go down. Everything's going to go down. And GG. So yeah, that was game 2. And yeah, on to the next one. Okay, this is game 3 of Wynaut versus Coolnick in the TA Escalation Pro Tournament of 2021. And these players are both ARM. They're playing on a Mars map. And it looks like they've both started... Well, no, that's wrong. Coolnick has started with K-Bots and is building some fleas. Fleas are a little different in TA Escalation. They're no longer a pesky scout type harasser or raider. They are now a constructor. Well, I don't know. I guess they don't construct, but they reclaim. They're a reclaimer. You can send them around the map and pick up all the various reclaim all the various trees and rocks, anything that could boost your economy in the early game. And so that's what Coolnick is doing. He's reclaiming as much of the map as he can. It looks like. And his opponent, Wynaut, went hovercraft first. And to be honest, I didn't even know that going hovercraft first was a thing. But that's, on a map like this, I guess, why not, right? I mean, there's some benefit to it. It essentially makes it into a flat map, right? Instead of having instead of basically this map that has 3 paths, as dictated by the land bridges, turns it into a flat map because your hovercraft can treat the water as no obstacle. And so that seems to be the strategy here. But I don't know. It's risky. Coolnick is he's sending quite a few peewees, and it doesn't look like Wynaut has much to stop it. He's building a solar collector, but he really needs light laser towers. He needs units. This is kind of why it's risky to go hovercraft first. I mean, I guess it is a possible. I mean, it's a possibility, but it does make you vulnerable, certainly at the start of the game, because hovercraft are expensive and K-bots are very cost efficient, especially peewees. Peewees are extremely cost efficient. And yeah, it looks like Coolnick kind of caught Wynaut with his pants down here. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, it looks like the game's already over. This is why you don't go hovercraft first. I mean, yeah, this is he took a huge risk, and it didn't pay off too well. But yeah, it was interesting. I guess it was kind of interesting to see what happens when you go hovercraft first. Yeah, I'm not saying, I guess, that it's a totally unviable strategy. Maybe there's some situations, and like in team games you could probably make it work, but 1v1 it is very risky. He did survive. I mean, I can't see his commander's health, but let's see if I can find out what his HP is. Yeah, I can't see his exact health, but he's got to be low. He's got to be basically 1 hit. But yeah, he's still in the game. I mean, he's still kicking. Coolnick is still sending endless wave of peewees though. And let's see how these zappers do. Zappers are kind of like they're the harasser hovercraft. They're kind of the weakest of the combat hovercraft. They're fast. They do decent damage, but they're best for harassing. They're okay in combat. Hovercraft in general have decent health just because they're more expensive. So they any hovercraft has a decent amount of health, even the zappers, but the zappers are still more of a scout hovercraft, more of a reconnaissance, harassing, raiding, and not so much skirmishing. I mean, they can do it, but they're really suited more for getting into your opponent's minerals. I can't believe I just said minerals, but getting into your opponent's economy and wrecking havoc. And yeah, it looks like, yeah, this has been a weird set of matches because I don't know if the players have just been losing connection, or it looks like in this case Wynaut just conceded. He was very far behind just because of how far Coolnick got ahead. So yeah, I don't really, again, I can't really, all I have are these replays, so I don't really know the story behind these games. But either way, every single game Coolnick looked like he won to me, or he would have won. So anyways, Coolnick advances, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So thank you for watching.